This is VK6ARN, Newswest. We are a community organisation and we've been serving up the best amateur radio news in Australia since 1931. Hi, this is Clinton, VK6FCIC, and welcome to Newswest for the 16th of July 2023. Now over to Steve Kennedy, VK6SJ, with another episode of Did You Know?
Hi, I'm Steve, VK6SJ, with this week's episode of Did You Know? This week I thought I'd talk about solar power design principles for radio and repeater sites. This is written around principles for a repeater site with no access to mains power or any other charging source. If you have a panel on a couple of batteries in your camper van with a charger connected to your vehicle charging system, that is not what this is about. Like all engineering projects, it's always good to start with defining requirements. If it's a repeater site, you could do worse than follow what is standard practice for commercial and public safety sites. The requirements in real basic form are often 5 days of autonomy with no charge, charge back to full capacity within 10 days from 0% charge, work on around 5% duty cycle in transmit. This equates to 1.2 hours of transmit time per day, and even on the most popular repeater in Perth, I doubt we'd reach that on anything like average. So, how do we design for this? First thing is to determine the current draw over a 24-hour period. Did I mention understanding the requirements? With 5% duty cycle, that equates to the current draw of the radio and receive, with no received signal for 95% of the day. Most repeaters will draw in the order of an amp or less in quiescent mode, so that equates to 24 amp hours times 95%, or 22.8 amp hours. Add that to the 5% in transmit mode, let's assume 10 amps in transmit, and you get 10 amps times 24 hours times 5%, or 12 amp hours. Brings your total power consumption to 34.8 amp hours per day. With this in mind, you need a battery with the ability to deliver 34.8 amp hours times 5 days to achieve our requirement of 5 days of autonomy. This equates to 174 amp hours at 12 volts DC. There are some around who will tell you that you can only take the battery down to 50% charge, so you need to double that battery. Time to take out some of these sacrificial cows. Here are a few facts about sealed lead-acid batteries. If a battery is rated to 200 amp hours at C120, read the manual, then this means that it will deliver 200 amp hours over a period of 120 hours, which happens to be 5 days. The quicker you discharge a battery, the less capacity it will deliver. If you discharge a battery every now and again to 0% charge, i.e. you draw 200 amp hours from this battery over a period of 5 days, the battery will be fine. If you continuously bring a battery down to say 50% discharge on a daily basis, that battery will not last long at all, maybe a few years, but no more. If you discharge a battery every day to say 20% on a daily basis, i.e. to 80% of its value, it should last for many years. If you are lucky enough to score some lithium batteries, then these rules go out the window, as lithium batteries can be discharged to 0% every day and cope just fine. However, if you want 5 days of autonomy, that means by definition you can't discharge the battery by more than 20% per day, or it won't last the 5 days. If you're paying more for a lithium battery for this purpose, then you're throwing money away. Lithium really comes into its own when you only want a day or so of autonomy. Now, let's talk about managing the battery for prolonged life and fitness for purpose. For an extended battery life and reliability, there's a few things that need to be considered. Each day, the battery will discharge around 10% over the course of the night, unless of course you live south of the Antarctic Circle. To recharge, you need to do what is called a boost charge, which is roughly 14.5 volts, depending on battery design for a 12-volt system. Once the battery is approaching full charge again, the charging voltage needs to come down to something closer to normal battery operating voltage, roughly 13.8 volts DC. If you only do the boost charge followed by the float charge, eventually the battery will develop issues where a cell or a battery cell will gradually degrade and the others will try to compensate, and at an ever-increasing rate, the battery or battery bank will gradually reduce in capacity. To fix this, about once a month we do what's called an equalisation charge. This is where we charge the battery at a higher voltage still, to around 15.7 or so volts DC for a 12 volt DC bank. And this equalises the charge on all cells and batteries to combat that gradual decline of single cells or batteries. This is all good, but generally only mobile radios are designed to cope with such a wide range of DC voltages. At best, the purpose-built base radio or repeater will vary its maximum power output depending on battery voltage, and at worst will expire at voltages above 15 volts DC or higher. To manage this, we need to limit the voltage fed to the equipment to 13.8 volts DC, but still maintain the battery charger regime to keep the life expectation of the battery going. How do we do that? We could use a 12 to 12 volt DC converter, or better still, design the system for say 48 volts DC, then employ a 48 to 12 volt DC converter. This allows you to maintain the 13.8 volts DC even when the battery bank is depleted. No much point in having 5 days of autonomy if the last 2 days of that are less than 12 volts DC and the radio fails in any case. Building a 48 volt DC system against a 12 volt DC system isn't much different or more expensive. The power delivery is the same, just that you need to have 4 batteries or battery banks in series to provide that 48 volts DC bank instead of a 12 volts DC. Most solar regulators are programmable for 12, 24 or 48 volts DC battery banks. So, we have now a well-maintained and reliable battery bank. How do we keep it charged? Well, you need to listen to the news broadcast next week for the second half of this sermon. Well, thanks for listening. This is Steve, VK6SJ, with another episode of Did You Know?
Greetings all amateur radio operators. Please be aware that the Northern Corridor Radio Group will be holding its annual Hamfest on Sunday morning, the 20th of August 2022 at the Cyril Jackson Community Hall in Bassendean. Please make note of the date change, with the Hamfest being held 1 week earlier than usual. The Hamfest will start at 9 a.m. and finish at around lunchtime. As always, suppliers can set up from 7:30 a.m. and the NCRG will be staging a raffle with tickets available on the day and online before the event. There are some fantastic prizes on offer this year. First prize is a Yaesu FT710 HF/50 MHz radio valued at $1,695. Second prize is an ICOM ID52A handheld with D-Star 2 and 70 SEMS valued at $849. Third prize is an MFJ Enterprises 991B HF antenna tuner that's valued at $400. And fourth prize is a Raspberry Pi Model 4B with 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is a do-it-yourself kit with a few bits and pieces in. That's valued at $322. Tickets, they're on sale from the 20th of June, so that starts in a few days, and it's available to people in New South Wales, Northern Territory, Queensland, South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria, and of course Western Australia. $5 per ticket is the charge, as always, and the raffle will be drawn on the day at the finish of the Hamfest at 12 o'clock. So please come along, catch up with your friends, check out the new and second-hand wares that will be on sale, and of course dine out on some of the yummy snacks that will be available from the canteen. If you want to book a table to sell or exhibit at the Hamfest, please be aware that the tables will run out fast. There's no charge for the table, just an entrance fee on the day of $5 per person, NCRG members included. Additional details will be posted on the NCRG website, so please look for those. If you'd like to book a table or ask a question about the Hamfest, please contact myself, Brad Peters, VK6 Bravo Alpha Papa on 0427 401 513. Looking forward to seeing you all there.
Hello listeners, this is Dennis, VK6AKR, with a couple of snippets from the WAVHF group. Most of the club activity this month has been administrative, and while the details will not be of interest, it is important, if you are a club member, to recognise the work that club committees do behind the scenes. Most of the time it is basic drudge work, but occasionally there are many projects that crop up that keep your club sailing along smoothly. So when it comes time for your club AGM, consider putting up your hand to help. On the technical front, we had another satisfying activity day starring a Kenwood TS120V owned by Terry VK6ZLT. It has a phase lock loop issue on its higher bands. We believe that we're on the trail, and by the time you hear this, repairs should have been completed. My Cat 5E frame aerial mentioned last week is able to tune nicely to the 2190 metre band used by VK6MJM, and I am looking forward to testing it on air when Peter, VK6HP, puts the site back into transmission mode. Dave, VK6KV, found some time to successfully install and test a commercial tribander for VHF-UHF at his QTH. If you are in the Applecross area on the first or third Saturdays of each month, call in to one of our activity days where you will be made most welcome. You just missed yesterday's, I'm sorry. Consider visiting the Solid State exhibition across the courtyard too while you are there. Wireless Hill Telecommunications Museum. Our website, Facebook page or Dr. Google will point you in the correct direction. 73 from Dennis, VK6AKR for the WA VHF Group.
Since 1931, Newswest has provided amateur radio news for Western Australia and beyond. This is VK6ARN.
Hello everyone, this is Clive, VK6CSW, reminding you that the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Club of Australia's July Bulletin goes to air tomorrow. A frequency change. Following the success of last month's trial, the 00 hours UTC transmission will be on 10 metres on 28.450 MHz. Full details of this change, plus all other broadcast times, can be found on the club website www.raotc.org.au or by googling RAOTC broadcasts. Don't forget too that even if none of the transmission times suit you, you can download the audio file at any time from today from the club website. If you do download the file, a brief feedback comment would be appreciated. The 10-metre transmission at 0 hours UTC, or 8 AM WA time, is beamed southeastwards from Catherine in the Northern Territory by Mike VK8MA. Although WA is out of this beam, experience last month indicated that many in WA still heard it. Consequently, if you can listen on 28.450 megs at 8 AM tomorrow, even if only for a few minutes before dashing off to work, and can report Mike's signals, he would be most grateful. His email address is mike.allsop@tbpl.com.au. I'll just spell that. Mike, India, Kilo, Echo, dot, Alpha, Lima, Sierra, Oscar, Papa, at Tango, Bravo, Papa, Lima, .com.au. So once again, mike.allsop@tbpl.com.au. This month, instead of the usual broadcast, we offer an interesting historical broadcast from 2001 by Alan Doble, Silent Key, VK3 Alpha Mike Delta. The usual news and information will be broadcast next month. Everyone, RAOTC members and non-members alike, is most welcome to listen to the programme and to join in the callbacks afterwards. At 8 AM local time tomorrow, as well as the experimental transmission on 10 metres, there's a transmission via digital mobile radio on the VK-DMR network Talk Group 5. At 9 AM, Chris, VK6JI, will transmit the bulletin on 80 metres on 3620 kHz, with a repeat at 10 AM on 40 metres on 7088 kHz. Also at 10 AM, there is a transmission via the Newswest linked repeater system. On Wednesday, July the 5th, we have a D-Star broadcast at 5:30 p.m. WA local time. This will be transmitted via D-Star Reflector 91C and will follow the D-Star news line. On Sunday, July the 9th, repeats of the RAOTC Bulletin follow the 160 metre and 40 metre broadcasts of the WIA News. The next lunchtime meeting for members and friends of the RAOTC in Perth is on Tuesday the 11th of July at the Woodbridge Hotel, 50 East Street, Guildford. We meet at 11:30 for midday lunch. An attractive, well-priced seniors menu is available which can be viewed online. Everyone's welcome to join in and have an eyeball QSO. There's adequate car parking, but if coming by train, be sure to alight at Guildford East, repeat Guildford East station. Full details are on the club website under the heading Luncheons. Once again, tune in tomorrow for the July broadcast. If possible, listen for the 28.450 megs transmission at 8 a.m, and we look forward to hearing your call sign in the callbacks. 73 from Clive, VK6 CSW.
Good morning, this is Roy VK6 X-Ray Victor with this week's helpline, the 16th of July 2023. What have we got for you this week? Not much different to last week, in fact. We've still got a high gain antenna, TH3 Junior, 3-element tri-band 10, 15 and 20 metre Yagi for sale from VK6 Lima Golf Bravo. It's new, not used, comes in the box and asking $750 to a good home. Can be driven up to 600 watts with average gain of 5.8 dBd and front to back of 25 dB average. Pick up from Rockingham. Contact Glenn. Telephone 089592 7915. 089592 7915. Email is vk6limaGolfBravo@hotmail.com. And my email is still playing up, apparently, VK6XV. Don't use that. Roy.Watkins@bigpond.com is the best one. Roy.Watkins@bigpond.com, and I should get it. I'm still having trouble with VK6XV. I've been in touch with the Telstra, and they can't fix it either. Okay, this is Roy, VK6XV Victor, now off and clear, 7-3.
Hi, I'm Clinton, VK6FCRC, and I'd like to thank the volunteers, contributors and broadcasters each week, as without you it wouldn't be possible to produce the weekly news. Please remember to send your contributions into Newswest by midday Fridays, and please stand by now for callbacks after the idents.